What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is First Wives Club, Season 1, Episode 6. So, Ari, we start off with Ari, honey, trying to bring the spark back into her marriage. She giving her husband a little wake up, fellatio. And, of course, he's appreciative of it. Who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be? And, when it's time for him to return the favor, he all of a sudden gets a phone call. He has an interview he has to get to, right? And or a pre-interview for his BET, a big interview on BET. And Arya was like, okay, but I mean, you can finish what you started. Like, hello. And he's like, I gotta go, but I got you later on tonight. She was like, okay, you got me later on tonight, okay. Now, while this is going on, over with Bree's house, poor Bree, she in the bathroom and realized, it ain't nothing worse than you sitting, finishing up in the bathroom and there is nothing there. There's no toilet paper anywhere. And you got to figure out the best thing to do to get yourself out of that temporary situation. You know what I'm saying? And that's what she had to do. She had to end up using her hand towel. And as a result, she is fussing at Hazel. Hazel is using first of all, basically Hazel is using Bree's house as a hotel and not as a place where she has to provide, where she's a roommate. She's like, listen, you eat all the food, you don't replace nothing. You eat my kids' cereal, you eat my kids' snacks. You used up all the toilet paper. Not only did you not buy no toilet paper, you ain't tell nobody it wasn't no more toilet paper, so I could at least go to the store and get some toilet paper if I needed to. And so, of course, they end up having an argument, and Bree is like, listen, I need some help. Like, I am struggling here. And Hazel said, I'm going through a really messy divorce. Bree was like, and so am I. Like, you don't own the monopoly on that. And I need your help. Like, I understand your situation. I done brought you in my house. I know you ain't doing, but I need your help, right? And so Hazel is like, I got you. I'm sorry, in her own Hazel way. Because, in her own Hazel way. So Bree is down at the grocery store looking a hot mess, right? Sweatpants, t-shirt, hair all over her head, getting some, she's getting some toilet paper. And of course, who does she see? She sees Gary. The last thing she wants is to run into Gary at the grocery store. And of course, he sees her, and you could tell immediately that when he see her, he don't want to see her. He starts immediately looking around. I said, oh Lord, he is at the grocery store with somebody he ain't supposed to be at the grocery. Well, I ain't gonna say he ain't supposed to be, but he is at the grocery store with somebody. Okay, so she's trying to play it cool. They having like a general conversation, and he asked her, "What about the birthday party this weekend?" So it's his daughter's birthday, and she was like, "Oh, I'm on it. I'm ready. I'm on top of it." Here's what's funny. A part of me was like, she done forgot about that damn party. Like, she ain't playing no party. She ain't trying to do nothing for nobody's party. And she was like, oh, I'm on top of it. It's going to be the best party ever. And I got it. And he was like, the best party ever? She was like, yes, I'm on top of it. She was like, but you know what could really help? It would really help if your mama bought my crock pot back. He was like, I'm going to need you to let the crock pot go. Like, that's not. The Tupperware ain't coming back. The crock pot ain't coming back. I'm going to need you to let it go. And so they were kind of having like a little moment. And just at that moment, woman, size 2, athletic build, midriff, gym outfit, walks up on him. It's Gary's new little girlfriend, his little boo thing, right? And mind you, but it's not the woman he cheated on her with. It's a totally different woman, young girl. Of course, Bree is feeling some kind of way, and she gets tongue-tied, and she gets caught up, and she ends up inviting the woman to the daughter's birthday party, which of course she ain't mean to. Gary knows she don't mean it, but she is in that silly, of course, sure, why don't you come? It's nice to meet you. Come on. And of course, immediately she regrets it. Gary knows she don't mean it, but at that point, you done invited the woman, and she ain't smart enough to realize that you ain't mean it. Okay? Now, she gets back to the ladies, and she's explaining to the ladies what happened, and they are like, girl, well, first thing what you're going to do is you're going to take care of your hair. You're going to get yourself together, because what you're not going to do is run into that woman looking crazy another time. And so they was like, we're gonna send you to a spa day, because you look a hot butted mess, and we as your girls can't let that happen again. We just can't let you be caught in that situation again. So of course now she is like, I wasted too much time. Gary is ready to divorce me. He done moved on to a new woman, and they were like, listen, he don't really mean it, because if he meant it, he would have already sent them divorce papers back. He's just dating. He's single. He is sowing his wild oats. Listen, you can too. We're gonna get you together, and you can find you another, find you a man too. You don't need to rely on that. And she was like, but I don't want to move on. I don't want, to get married. I mean, I don't want the divorce. And they were like, okay, well, you could tell him that too, but you still gonna get yourself together first. So she goes to her little spa day, and she ends up coming out, and she checks her voicemail. Maybe it wasn't her spa day, but anyway, she comes out and she's feeling a little bit better, because she was like, yeah, you're right. He hasn't sent the divorce papers back. Yeah, you're right. So she's feeling a little bit better. She comes up out of there, checks her voicemail. Who done call her? Gary. What he say? I finally got myself a lawyer, and we're going to get them papers signed. I said, poor thing. Now, Hazel is sitting on the couch looking at the Real Housewives or something, honey. Khalil, her producer, ends up calling her, and he's like, listen, how's the writing going? And she was like, oh, it's going really good. He said, well, why don't you come down to the studio? Let me hear some stuff. She was like, nothing is done. I don't know if I'm ready for that. And he was like, well, don't worry. He was like, well, don't worry about it. You come on down. Let me hear what you have. Let me hear what you have. And so she was like, all right. So she goes down to the studio, and of course, nothing sounds right. Nothing sounds good. She's, and Khalil says, listen, I know what you're doing. He was like, you are self-sabotaging. You got to get this album out, and you can't connect. Like, I get it, but you're going to have to figure it out, because you wasting time. We got to get this album together, and I really need you to reconnect. I really need you to figure it out. And he's basically telling her the same thing that Derek told her. You've gotten away from what made you successful. You've gotten away from what made you Hazel. And you've got to figure it out, and you got to find it again. You got to write, and you got to get back to writing, And she was like, of course she was feeling some kind of way about it or whatever. So Ari is, on her way to go help her husband out, get himself together for this interview. He's nervous. He was like, can you please run me through my questions again? She was like, boo, you got this. Like, you are good. You are ready. You are good to go. Honey, he get down there for the interview, baby, and listen, he forgets one of his answers. Reminds me of, what was his, Rick Scott from Texas, when he was running for president, and he couldn't remember his own answers. He said he was going to delete 3 things from the cabinet, and he couldn't remember what the third one was. Child, he didn't know what it was. And it was very similar to that, because it was Mark. We had a cameo from Mark Lamont Hill in this episode, and the question was about, do you feel like you can connect to the everyday voter, because you come from a very affluent background, you and your wife live this beautiful life. Can you connect? And he was like, of course I can. And he's given the answer, and he said, there are 3 ways I know I can connect. He gets to the third one, he can't remember it. But Ari swoops in and saves him, right? It went kind of smooth. I mean, it was obvious that it happened, but she saved him. You know what I mean? It wasn't, Governor Scott disastrous. Now, while this is going on, Bree, she has gone to Hazel, and she's, upset, and she's like, I don't believe this. I gave that man the best years of my life. I gave him kids. Now look at me, and he gets to move on with his life, and he gets to find him a younger model, and it's just not fair. And Hazel was like, listen, it ain't. She said, he was supposed to keep fighting for me for as long as it took. And see, I think this is a problem that a lot of people run into. Women more so than men, but men do it too. The other person makes, yes, you make somebody pay. You make them understand what they lost. You make them understand that if they do it again, this potentially could be what ends up happening to them. But here's the problem. Here's what ends up happening. Okay? You make them pay too long. Remember that movie Two Can Play This Game, and Vivica Fox had this whole 20-point plan to make her man pay, and she almost lost her man at the end. Listen, it don't just happen in movies. I have friends who do the same thing, have done the same thing, and we fall into the same situation. And Bree, that's the situation Bree found herself in. The man tried to work it out. He wanted to go to therapy. He was begging and pleading. Finally, he said, you know what? Fine. You want a divorce? Cool. That ain't what I want, but I ain't going to keep begging you for your forgiveness. I told you I was sorry and I was willing to try to figure it out, but you ain't listening and you ain't trying to meet me halfway. So with that being said, you do you and I'm going to do me, and we see if we meet somewhere on the other side. Okay? Now, with all of that being said, Hazel said, but what you gonna do is get yourself together. You gonna put on your baddest outfit. You gonna put on we gonna get you the makeup, the hair. We gonna get you ready, honey. And when you see Gary the next time, he gonna regret. You gonna make him remember all of the good times, and he gonna regret whatever he did. Okay, so we get to the birthday party for baby girl. First of all, Gary mama is there acting a fool. Okay, Gary, but it's funny because she's there talking about something. Here's your damn crock pot that I heard you was tripping over, as if that's the reason why Gary left you. Now, what you need to do is go upstairs and get dressed and get cute so you can remind your husband what he's missing. Okay. Gary shows up and he actually brings the hoe with him. And his daughter is not having it. His daughter is like, hey, yeah, whatever. She's like, daddy, daddy, daddy. And he hands her his gift. And she's like, oh, thank you so much, daddy. And the girl goes to hand his daughter the gift. And she was like, oh, you can put that on the table. I said, okay, the shade from the young one. Okay. Hazel looks cute. Okay. Hazel looks absolutely stunning, which is what she was supposed to do. And, of course, everybody's there at the party. And when Gary saw Hazel, of course, his, mouth dropped open and he was happy to see her. And at a certain point, they all are at the table eating, because it's an outdoor party. They got the bouncy house. They got balloons. They have all these other different things going on. And they end up sitting at the table eating. And the girlfriend, she don't eat sugar. She don't drink liquor. She don't do this. She don't do that. She's a vegan. And the mama was like, I can't do this. Like, his mama ended up getting up from the table like, what? I'm not doing this. I'm not. Nope. We're not doing this. Right? And Gary, it actually everybody ends up getting up from the table except for Hazel. Poor Hazel ended up sitting there by her damn self. I said, Lord have mercy, Hazel ended up by herself. So the party was a success. Khalil ends up calling Hazel and saying, listen, I think I got what you need to get your mojo back. And Hazel was like, okay. He said, well, I'm going to send you the address. I need you to meet me here, at such and such a time. And she was like, okay. Ari goes home. She's excited. She's happy because she like, listen, we about to finish what we started this morning. I'm about to give me a little something, something. I gave him a little something, something. And her husband cannot be bothered. Okay. He is obsessed with the interview, obsessed with the mistakes he's made. He's sorry. Like, they didn't edit out my mistake. And she was like, it's not a big deal. It's hardly noticeable. It looks like we're a team. It's going to work out. Mind you, remember, she's his campaign manager. So she's going to make sure that she puts the right spin on what happened. She trying to climb on top of him and get him to finish what she started. And he's like, listen, I ain't got time for all of that right now. She was like, what you mean you ain't got time for all that right now? They end up getting into an argument. Baby, she lets him know, because he said, I don't have time for this silly argument. She said, oh, a silly argument. And he was like, I mean, all you want is sex. That's all you want from me is sex. She said, what? Baby, she lays it out for him. Do you hear me? She lays it out about how she ain't had that. She said, do you realize? She said, you mean to tell me you don't touch me? There's no intimacy. You climb on top of me and pump 3, maybe 4 times after you have already watched a porn to get you ready, instead of touching me to get you ready. Do you realize you have never even given me an orgasm? And he is looking at her like, what? Next thing you know, baby, she done packed the bag and she on her way out the door. And he was like, whoa, 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 where you going? She was like, I'm out of here. And he was like, well, you can't leave. She said, why the hell I can't? What? He said, well, you're my campaign manager. What will people say? She said, I don't know, but you better figure it out because this is my resignation effective immediately. Peace, deuces. And she walks out the door. Now, Bree and Derek are cleaning up. His, girlfriend left, and he's there helping her clean up, the backyard and everything. And the bouncy house is there, and he was like, "Come on, let's go jump in the bouncy house." And she was like, "I can't come jump in the bouncy house." He was like, come on with me, come on, baby." They get into that bouncy house. They get to jumping up and down. First Bree fall, then she knock him down, and he fall. And next thing you know, he on top of her, and who knows what else happened down into that bouncy house, baby. Okay. Okay. Now, Khalil got Hazel meeting her down to an open mic night. She was like, open mic? She said, I can't remember the last time I sang for free. He said, but that's the problem. You need to reconnect with your fans. You need to get back to your roots. He said, go up on the stage, work these things out. Go, this is the place to do it. Like, your fans want to reconnect with you. You don't have to feel no pressure. It's not an album. It's not a finished product. It's just you getting on stage, reconnecting, and going back to your roots. She gets up on that stage, and of course she's nervous, but she ends up singing. The crowd is feeling her. She's feeling herself. Khalil is feeling her. And next thing you know, baby, they in the bathroom feeling each other. Now, of course, we saw that coming. We saw from the very first scene that Khalil was feeling her. Baby, we're going to see where it goes from here. Okay? Let me know what you think. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.